Welcome to another JQLM Radio Special Edition with your girl, Lady J. Of course, this is the division of Ego Entertainment Network, and I have an amazing guest, one of my favorite people today. But before we get into all of that, we must get the formalities out of the way. So, with that being said, if this is your first time tuning in to JQLM Radio and you would like to share with your family, friends, and followers and all the different ways that they can tune in, be sure to tell them to download the JQLM Radio app on their Apple or Android devices. You can also listen live to JQLM Radio 24/7, 365 on Alexa, TuneIn app, and Stream a Simple Radio app, and a host of other platforms, of which you can find on our website, where you can also listen live at egoentertainmentnet.com. That is egoentertainmentnet.com. And don't forget to follow, like, and share us on social media at JQLM Radio on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We do follow back. Also, follow Ego Entertainment Network at EgoEntNet. That's EGOENTNET on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can also connect with us on LinkedIn at Ego Entertainment Network. Last but not least, if you would like to follow myself, Lady J, on social media, you can catch me on Facebook at Lady J Brand. You can follow me and connect with me on Instagram at ladyj.co. And you can also hit me up on Twitter. Y'all, I'm not really on Twitter like that. I'm trying to do better. I really am. Okay. So just connect with me there. I promise you I'll follow you back. I'm going to start tweeting more. And on LinkedIn at Lady J. Also, if you would like to know more about myself and what I do, you can visit my website at ladyj.co. Now, with that being said, my guest today is none other than hip hop and R&B artist JacobAlexander, and let me tell y'all, he is the product of I get into the product of what he is, from who he comes from, whose loins he comes from, because both his mama and daddy is bad. But anyway, let's find out a little bit more about him before we bring him on. JacobAlexander is an independent R&B and hip-hop artist. He is the product of musically gifted parents Marcus Cole, former member of the gospel group Commissioned, and singer and minister of music Michelle Beckwith. He is a father, singer, songwriter, producer, and radio host of the Dirty 30 radio show. His newly released album, I Wrote This Hoping You Would Listen, is destined for great success. Jacob Alexander.
Hey. That was a beautiful intro. I appreciate that for sure.
Hey, no problem. Hey, I gotta do my people right.
That's 100. Am I coming through clear?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. So welcome to, well, for those of y'all don't know, Jacob is actually a host and producer here on JQLM Radio. Anyway, so I'm gonna say welcome to the show though. Anyway.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Shout out to everybody that's listening, everybody tuned in. I appreciate y'all.
All right. So we got people tuning in on the radio station. Shout out to all of our JQL radio listeners. Thank you all for being obedient as far as tuning in on air. We appreciate it. We're trying to get to 300,000. So listen, we already are also in 63 countries. So listen, I need y'all to go and tune in. We got some new things coming up for all of our listeners next year. Recognize the listeners and things of that sort. So make sure y'all do that. I shout out to everyone that's watching us also on social media, all across the different Facebook pages, YouTube, and all of that. So now that we got that out of the way, Jacob, what's up? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm really excited about this interview. The first interview I've ever done, whether music or radio, was Fat Girl Chronicles. Shout out to Leo. And this is my second one. So I'm kind of nervous, you feel me, at the same time, but I'm glad that I could I've done tons of interviews and never been interviewed. So it's glad to be in the other seat, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great to be here today.
Good. So as mentioned in your introduction video, you are the product of Marcus Cole and Michelle Beckwith. So for those of you who don't know, the group Commission, with Fred Hammond and who's Marcus Stapp and all them, listen, yes, his daddy, Marcus Cole, was one of those members. Okay. So you're gonna learn a little bit about his skills when we put his music in rotation for y'all to hear. Okay, if you have not heard him live or any of his music on the radio or whatever, you in for a treat. Let me just say that. And I've been the number one fan. I'm gonna tell you right now, ain't nobody killing my fan status. The first time I met him, you can ask him. I mean, I be front and center
Yeah,
every
you've been saying that. You definitely been saying that since I met you, and you were introduced to the music. You like I'm your number one fan, right next to my mama. But I got you though.
Yeah, yeah, I do come second after her.
For sure.
So you
I
can
think
go
it's
ahead.
pretty interesting though that you mentioned my father for a few reasons.
Mhm.
So I don't know if I ever told you that, but you did your research if that's the case.
No, you did tell
Uh,
me.
I did.
Well, when we a long time ago when we first met, like back
Okay.
in
Okay.
2016 or 17. Yeah.
Okay. And
Mhm.
so yeah, that's where I get my chops from. My father, he has an incredible voice, an incredible writing pen, talented artist. Uh, Unfortunately, I wasn't really raised by him, so his influence on my musical skills was not placed. It was really my mother, and she
Mhm.
was, a female vocalist. And growing up, she stuffed me in everything possible. You know what I'm saying? As far as cultivating my talent goes. And so I attribute really all of my skill to her, even though she'd tell you, well, he get it from his daddy. I give it I all to my mother. She gets all the praise. So
Yeah,
that
awesome.
I
I
think-
can totally understand that. And a lot of times, even when we aren't in the presence of somebody, um, some of those things are passed down genetically, but it does take somebody to cultivate that, what I'm saying, and grow it into what it is. So shout out to Mama Michelle.
interesting thing about that too, like my brother, which I connected with my siblings later in life, and so he's a talented musician. He plays the bass, the guitar. He really rocks out on the strings, but can't sing worth a lick. And it's like amazing because my little sisters, and so they all grew up with my father and everything. So my little sisters, incredible voices, they sing great. Pretty much every other sibling I have five other siblings. They all can sing except for except for that one. And but he's incredible with musicianship, but I guess it never really got cultivated in him, and so it didn't unlock. And so that does speak to a lot when you say like genetics.
Yeah. So God gave him a different gift. It's still musically inclined, but it's just a different gift, and
Yep.
that's fine because we need that too.
Yeah, and my father, he's a musician as well, so it's not too far from the genes. He
Right.
definitely got the musicianship from him too.
Okay, so like most of us black folks, you started out church, from a
Yeah.
kid, directing choirs and stuff. And I did not know you were in ICC because I was in ICC too.
Mhm.
I love, for those of you who don't know,
Sure.
that's the Indianapolis Children's Choir. And listen, you get to travel and a whole bunch of other stuff. You can do these big,
Yeah.
sometimes competitions and performances. And I loved ICC. Growing up from a musically inclined, growing up in a musically inclined family myself and being singing my whole entire life, so I know what it's like, and being a product of a professional singer myself, it's a whole other experience. For those of you who have kids, I don't even know if they still have ICC.
I
um
believe so. Absolutely. I believe so. I still see ICC stickers on these cars. That's a legend. That's legendary. You feel
so
like family. You riding down the highway, you see an ICC sticker, you feel like family. You want to throw the pizza up.
yeah, so um starting out in the church, you were singing and directing choir and stuff. Did you know that being an artist was what you wanted to do, or did you want to do something else when you were a
Okay,
kid?
so all right, so we can go back to the beginning. Yeah, I would say it started in church, but the directing part came later when I was in like high school. The first time I ever recorded though, it was a gospel song, and it was for a church talent show. I used to go to a church called Overcoming Church, if you heard of it. And so that was my first time recording. My uncle recorded me. He made the beat. It was dope. I rapped and I sang. Even now, like that, my style has switched to that because it
Mhm,
wasn't that for a while. I was just straight singing until I discovered that I really did like to rap.
mhm.
But even still, though, when I was 8 years old, my first song was still a mix of rapping and singing. and even still, when I was in the church at that age, they never really gave me a chance to sing. Like a lot of like I perform now, and I see old church members. They'll come up to me like, "Bro, I never knew, you had that in you or whatever." Like I'm 30 years old now. You know what I'm saying? So they
Uh-huh.
never really knew. And I never really got a chance. But on the side though, my mom, like I said, always putting me and keeping me active and cultivating that talent. She had me in different talent shows. I remember doing star searches and things of that nature. But the main thing that I was in was the Indianapolis Children's Choir, which gave me a classical training at an early age.
Right.
So it kind of advanced me a lot more. So before I really got too far into to the church, I was in the church choir more so because of my mother, not because it was a thing for me. And then, if your mama stopped going to church, then you stop going to church. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Especially when you're young. So at a point, then that didn't happen. And then I come to high school, and I actually made the decision to join a church with my grandmother, which was actually our family's church. And
Right.
so I ended up becoming and so interesting about these guys, my family is I'm related to Ty Scott Records. Stevie or
Okay.
Brian Scott, that's my cousin. Yeah, and I grew up with I grew up with his daughters, and they're real close with me. Um, his mother was the first lady of the church that I ended up going to, and
Mhm.
so I ended up becoming like the minister of music. I was able to play by ear, like instruments by ear. I wasn't like extremely fluid. My real
Right.
instrument, my voice, and I'm fluid in theory, but I could never play out. I mean, I played the trumpet, I played the piano, I've
Mhm.
played the drums, the bass, the alto sax, but just never anything like that. So I would pick out stuff. I would hop on the drums. I would definitely help form the parts for the people. And so I began to just kind of grow in that way. And then in the meantime, I was in and out of musicals at school and in and out of school. I was also part of a group in school. Um,
Mhm.
and um, and yeah, that's about where that lands. And then my mother would ask me to come into her school and help her teach her choir that she had on an after school tip. So that's kind of where it comes. So when I got into that part of church, that's when I really started to branch out into praise and worship leading and things of that nature.
Right. Okay. So before we continue on with this interview and this conversation, let's hear some of his dope music.
Okay, let's
So
get it.
we're gonna feature one of the songs from your brand new album. I wrote this hoping you would listen. That's the new
Okay.
album. Y'all need to go buy, stream
Yes.
on his website right now. It's only
Right
there
now.
exclusively right now. Okay. And that's at
It's on streaming platforms
JacobAlexandermusic.com.
now. It's on streaming platforms now too,
Okay,
for
so
sure.
now it's on streaming platforms now as
Yes.
well. So we're gonna let y'all know where you can get this at. So let's roll it real
The
quick. Another
gold.
love song from I wrote this hoping you would listen.
Oh, Lord, I just wrote another love song. This ain't no love song. This ain't no love Jones. Hold up, baby, hold on. What do you do when the love's gone? I guess you just move on then. Don't even deserve it. Yeah. I did everything just to make you happy. If I said it, I meant it, I made it happen. And all these love songs that we play too much. Just wasn't enough and you gave it up. You ain't gotta be perfect, but you gotta be worthy. But you keep running away. Now it seems like you have nothing to say. Can't believe I wrote another love song about you. But I'm doing much better without you. Thought that this time with you would be different. But it was really just tripping. I wrote this and hoping that you would listen. But it probably would not make a difference. That's why I can't believe I another love song. Can't believe I wrote another love song. You don't even deserve it, girl. You don't even deserve it, girl. No, I just wrote another love song. Can't believe I wrote another love song. You don't even deserve it, girl. You don't even deserve it, girl. No, I'm back for the second verse. Girl, you the one. You get on my nerves. Got what you didn't deserve, and I deserve what I didn't get. I didn't. Girl, you a trick, and I was alone for the ride. No headlights, no brake pads, just drive. Girl, I changed your life, but I put over to the shine. Cause what's love when no trust? Said that you give it to no one. Right now, I really give up. Promise that you never leave. Said that you always be for me, but it was all my fault. If I let you tell the story, I'm just trying to survive. When you should do all your life, I look inside of your eyes, we do too many times. That's I can't believe I wrote another song. Can't believe I wrote another love song. You don't even deserve it, girl. You don't even deserve it, girl. No, I just wrote another love song. Can't believe I wrote another love song. You don't even deserve it.
All right. So that was another love song from Jacob Alexander's new album. I wrote this hoping you would listen.
Yes,
Make
sir.
sure that y'all get that. Listen, I love it. So the new album though is um it's R&B and it's for grown folks. For those of
Yeah.
you who don't no, it's for the grown folks. Um so when you wrote this album, tell me why you chose to write one about love songs.
Right. So, uh, so this album was it had a couple different forms, and then when I finally dropped it, this is what you got. But it's basically a diary, and it had a lot of songs, and eventually I tore pages out, and that's what it ended up with. And I felt like on the part of the curation part for you to hear it, um, I wanted to give you all my feelings and my emotions that I went through, because this this is about a few relationships, but about one in particular that I went through and now I'm over. Um, After going through all those emotions, I can't believe I wrote another love song, another one about you, giving you my energy again. But this is all you get, and essentially, it's a sign off to the diary. Like, I'm closing that chapter, and uh I can't believe I wrote another one. That's why you know the tone of it is kind of sarcastic. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of jokey. I'm like, you think the song is about you, but it's really not. This is really about me, and I'm just getting it out. You feel me? This is my healing point. And so that's kind of where that came from. And that was kind of also influenced by somewhat of a Drake vibe, more so sonically, where that came from. Shout out to Jesse L, or Jesse Thompson. He's a part of the Beyond It band. He was my producer and engineer on this project. So shout out to him.
Awesome. Um, so you started, your love relationship with music at a young age. Tell me through life or through your music career getting to this point. Tell me, what would you say has been uh, the most challenging adversity or experience that you've had to overcome, and how did you get through it?
You said through life or through music?
Yep.
The most challenging adversity. Um, as far as the music goes, uh, so this album has been a long time coming, and my problem was that I was overthinking way too much, and my biggest adversity was uh expectation and like being afraid to just do so. And so I'm holding on to this music for so long because I'm expecting there to be a particular response to it. It's not ready. It's I'm not ready. The people not really hearing me yet, whatever the case. And the year that I wanted to drop the album, coronavirus happens. And so it basically, after 2-3 years, I mean, I finished the album and then I waited like a year and a half to actually drop it. And I was going to drop it in 2020 and coronavirus happened. A lot of things got cut, when coronavirus happened. And that just let me know that the world could end and you just wasting your time because you holding yourself up. And that was my biggest adversity. I remember talking to a friend and I must have had so much apprehension in my voice and in my thoughts. And he said, well, what are you afraid of? And it hit me. I'm like, yeah, what am I afraid of? You know what I'm saying? And so for me, I think that was the biggest thing that I had to overcome. Like dropping this project was a big deal. Like a lot of people even hit my line, like family and friends who knew that this was a long time coming, was like, man, I'm just proud that you finally got it out there, after all of your, your ups and downs and getting the album out there. So I would say musically, that has been my biggest adversity, is just getting over myself, trying to be too perfect. I feel like me making it is a means to making it out of here, like saving my family, things of that nature. I got a daughter. And so I don't want to fail. And I think that in my head made me want to be like that. But now I proceed with no expectations and I just drop. And it ain't gonna matter anyway, because when I did drop, I still didn't get the reception that I wanted. Like it didn't matter in the end. You know what I mean? And if I would have dropped then, I probably would have had a better reception. And so at the end of the day, that's something that I had to get over. So that's an adversity when it comes to music. And that kind of applies to my life as well. But I would just say I would say, my biggest adversity would probably be for me would be getting living my life without my father. Basically. Like okay, and I'll go even deeper. I was diagnosed ADHD when I was young, in and outpatient, crazy home, stuff like that. People wouldn't probably like, well, really, like I'm talented, smart, all that stuff, but I had this, whatever they want to call it, like they put me on a cocktail of pills, telling me I'm mildly depressed, and I don't even really necessarily even understand what what that is. And so for me, I think getting over that in my life, not having anybody to really guide me really through that and being basically misunderstood in that nature, that's been a big thing. And I think that tied into like, not having my father to be able to guide me through. So I was very, rebellious in my youth and things of that nature, and bumped my head later on in life, cases and things of that nature. But now that I have a daughter, I'm realizing, that a lot of the things that I had let that I let define me, I had to let go of in order to raise my daughter like the right way. You know what I'm saying? In order to do right by her. I would never leave her or anything like that, but I had to let go of some of the hurt from my father. Like I began to learn, I began to communicate with my brothers and sisters. I'm his oldest child. So I began to communicate with my brothers and my sisters, and that helped me connect with my soul, the rest of my family, my grandparents. I pretty much seen everybody but that dude. Like it's an interesting story, but that's been my adversity because I feel like every time one of the closest people in my life, she passed, years ago, is my great grandmother. And she held me very closely. You know what I'm saying? So after that, I feel like I was just kind of like definitely a lone soldier for sure. But
you be, I know that feeling.
yeah, so that's been, and every time I come into a situation or a problem or something, and nowadays most of my stress and anxieties come from my daughter, just raising her. I always go back like, man, I wish I could, I wish that was there. I wish that even that there was an example that I could even just harken back to that my father might have given me, or my mother was there, but like I said, you're missing a piece of the picture. So that's been one of the biggest adversities that I've overcome. And I would say I'm father of the year. I do a great job. I love my daughter, and she's been the best thing that ever really happened to me.
That's amazing. And I know that a lot of our listeners, I know that y'all can relate. I know I can relate. One, just being in your own way. But even though, life has a way of, making you go through some things that make you feel like giving up, make you feel like, clocking out. But the key, is to, and it's something that, something that I seem to be used to, and people see it as a superpower though. And I know for a lot of us, whether you scared, like you said, or you want things to be perfect, or you are hurting or whatever, but even in your fear, even in your hurt, what I'm saying, even in your disappointment, even in your standing in your own way, you just keep moving, what I'm saying, you keep going forward, do it anyway, what I'm saying, try it anyway. And I think one thing that we need to realize, especially for artists and things of that sort, because what you don't realize, like, it's a gift. What I'm saying? There's a difference between a talent and a gift. But when God gives you a gift, like, that gift will make room for you. It's just up to you to make sure that you that you are a good steward over it. What I'm saying? And you do what you're supposed to do with it and put it out there, and He'll do the rest. So um with that being said, what would you say has been your greatest accomplishment?
My greatest accomplishment.
I know I'm asking hard questions.
It is, because I feel like I haven't, I have these conversations with many different people that are close in my life. Cause man, speaking of like getting over, I was done last year. I was over music. Done. I did not want to do no more music. Like, I literally didn't care. Like, I was over it. You know what I'm saying? It just felt dead to me. I don't know. And I just had like a boost inside of me that just said, try it again. But I was really, really over it. But having that, having those talks like, why do I really want to do this? What have I done so far? Who cares? Like, that's really, and so getting down on yourself. But I have to look back and reflect and say, what kept me going then, right? So like, when I was in ICC, I went to Great Britain. I went to Canterbury, England, and London, England, and spent 2 weeks there. Trained under Robert Frost, which is a famous composer, sang in cathedrals all over, and really learned a lot. And that was an accomplishment that said, okay, let's keep going. Let's be better. And then later on in my career, I would get things like lead roles, things like that. So that stuff that kept me going. And then I had an opportunity. One of my family members, Aziza Lisa, she is a neo soul R&B artist and radio personality, and she had an opportunity to open up for Music Soul Child in Chicago, and she let me open up with her. So when that happened, I'm like, all right, you definitely got it. You definitely got it. You know what I mean? And I would say since then, I haven't necessarily experienced that heightened level, but I have made an imprint in my city enough to have experienced things like recently I went on tour with a rapper named Benny the Butcher. I went on tour with Maxie, and he went on tour with Benny the Butcher. So being able to experience that and just working hard enough to be in the position to learn that, have that experience, that was also something that was just recently. Like, that's like, all right, Jacob, just keep going. You're going to make it one day. But that maybe could just be me coming out of that mode of my whole life kind of being hard on myself, you know what I'm saying, and not really seeing it. But I just keep going. My greatest accomplishment, I guess, is dropping this album, dropping my first official project. I'll give you that one. That's what I can say.
Awesome. And it's amazing. And it is amazing for those of you listening. It's amazing. And I want to say, reaching back to your roots sometimes is how we get back to our why. Like, why am I still doing this? Because of us, when we have a dream, or God gives us a vision, and we have this big thing that we want to accomplish, and when it doesn't happen in the time that we think it should, or doesn't happen the way we think it should, then we get discouraged. But we have to remember that um the word says that if you're faithful over few, make you ruler over many. So a lot of people want the many or the big and the, what I'm saying, the extra territory right off the bat. But that ain't how it works. You know what I'm saying? It's not how it works. So and for me, I'm always been since I've met you, I've always been like, Jacob, when you gonna put it? I remember asking you a lot, like, when you gonna put the songs out? You know what I'm saying? Like, why I'm waiting on this, I'm waiting on that. What? Like, put the songs out.
You was listening to like 30 seconds of an intro or something like that.
So I have to say, I'm very proud of you, putting the music out that you have. And it's, like I said, it's awesome. It's amazing. It has been a long time coming. So we're going to check out a little bit of his flow, his bars, real quick, with his song Statement, y'all. So hold tight. We're going to roll this track, and then we're going to continue this interview.
And I love the way the beat drop for me. Got the whole city waiting on me. Got a couple niggas hating on me. Hit the block and then still skating on me. I got the kitty to set and I'm keeping it. And I keep it away, keeping it changing, I'm keeping it fake. See the same, but I'm in the same. I sit on it. Be careful the rain, be careful the storm. No, I never perform. I can never be compared to the norm, cause they don't do friends from fraud. I don't get my percent tripping there. Like the sauce, I've been tripping there. Boss enough, so now you gotta pay. So keep the money talk for me. I'm not just anybody, I don't trust nobody. When they hate, that's how you know you pop. In the very try to do you copy. To the top, cause ain't no other option. Yeah, I pretend, I can't pretend. It's where I've been and how I've been. I cannot be friends, I can't be friends. I'm just trying to win, I'm trying to win. I cannot pretend, I can't pretend. They ask me where I've been and how I've been. I cannot be friends, I can't be friends. I'm just trying to win, I'm trying to win. 10 toes on the pavement, I can't make another statement. I know these motherfuckers hate me, but motherfuckers need to pay me. They call on my phone for the feature, but I'm just too busy to reach me. And they just keep calling and calling. And I hear through the speakers, and used to listen to the preachers. But the right got the wrong, the right just messing my way. Because I thought they were robbing me, but now I became up the prodigy. And I'm only a man, so don't follow me. Because a lot of these started so fraudulent. And promised my mama that I keep it honest, but sometimes he promises break. Because these women that love you, only that you can do it and they take. Fox with a hand in the face. Say right, they get in my way. But you only can single away. Lamar, what you needed to say. Yeah, I cannot pretend, I can't pretend. They where I've been and how I've been. I cannot be friends, I can't. I'm trying.
Right. So that was Statement by Alexander. So y'all know he flowed them bars. One of my
yes, sir.
I like all of them. So
yes, thank
man,
you.
I can't listen. I cannot tell you. I've always been a congratulator. I'm not a hater at all. You know what I'm saying? So I like to see people win, especially my people. I love to see people win, and I love to see them, manifesting in their fruit. You know what I'm saying? Loving to see the fruit of their labor and walking in what it is that they want to do and what it is their purpose to do. So listen, I'm super proud of you, and
I
I'm
appreciate
already got it in rotation, so on air and and on my playlist. So
it. Yeah, right.
um so um before we get to the end of the show, I want to ask you what advice, you're only, for those of you who don't know, you're only in your, you just turned 30 or you're 29?
I'm 30. I just turned 30.
Okay, so you just turned 30. Um but you've learned a lot of lessons that young men don't learn until, they get a little older. So, especially with, growing up without a dad and the things that comes with that, and the things, how you see yourself, and being a parent and all that. So with that being said, what lesson would you say has been the greatest lesson that you've learned as a young man, and what advice would you give to other young men who may be experiencing some of the things that you have and are fearful in walking in their dreams and their purpose?
One of the biggest lessons that I've learned. Um, One of the biggest lessons that I learned. I just this got to be the one. To be yourself. Sounds cliche, but I'll give my part of the story. So, um, when my great grandmother passed when I was 19 years old, and she was like, I guess, or it was like 18, 19, but she was everything to the family, like the matriarch, everything. She was everything to me. Her daughter would say I was her favorite. So whatever,
Mhm.
cousins, you know what I'm saying? But that's what it was. So she was everything to me. I grew up with her. And so when she passed, I went crazy. And I had an inheritance, I had all this money and all that. And I just lost my mind. I became somebody I became somebody that I really wasn't. You know what I'm saying? And my friends said it, my family members said it, and I began to do stuff that just wasn't me, and it landed me in jail, landed me with fighting 2 felonies and some misdemeanors and things of that nature, because I became reckless, thinking like, because I got money now, I'm gonna create this persona, off of this money. I'm still learning myself. I ain't really know myself, trying to be somebody. And that led me into like changing my whole perspective on life, because I could have ruined myself, had it not been for a good lawyer, and God, and so and just my intentions, me making my right, making the decision to change certain ways. I think, the universe turned that around on me, and I was able to walk away clean. You know what I'm saying? For the most part. But that was probably my biggest lesson. And after that, I've always just walked in who I really am, and not trying to clout chase or anything for anybody, trying to look good, trying to be something that I'm not. And so I would just I would encourage all young guys to also just be yourself. Stop trying to, emulate what you see on TV, emulate
Mhm.
what you see on YouTube, emulate what you see on games. Stop trying to
Right.
be like that. Rappers, they're not really who you really think they are. I do like to pride myself in being authentic in my music. It's a lot of R&B stuff, but at the same time, I'm saying a lot of, I'm saying really what I feel like is really going on in my life, or really what my thoughts are. And like I said, I try to stay true to myself. So I would say that to all young men: just be yourself, bro. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. If somebody really just told me that, said buckle down, it's okay. You're gonna make 1,000 mistakes, but keep pushing. And stay away from all these people who want to be acting like somebody else, because that's where you fall into that. That's
Mhm.
what I would give. Be yourself always. I know it sounds cliche, but it's your best bet in this life, is to just be yourself, because you can't lose going that way.
That's good. That's real good. Uh, so tell everybody how they can get your music, how they can support
Sure.
you, how they can connect with you, how they can follow you.
Okay. Jacob Alexander. Go follow me at Jacob Alexander EST on Facebook, and Jacob Alexander 317 on Instagram. Go stream me on all streaming platforms: Apple Music, iTunes, Spotify, Tidal, Amazon, YouTube Music. I'm everywhere. They got Napster still. Go find me. I also have a website, www.jacobalexandermusic.com. JacobAlexander.com. You can find everything I have exclusively there. You can purchase the music there. You can see, you can catch up on me on the bio. You can stream my music on that site. There are other songs that are on there that are not like on streaming platforms. You can also check on my appearances, and you can find out how to book me. So JacobAlexandermusic.com. And also tune in to the Dirty 30 radio show on JQLM radio. Shout out to Lady J for giving me the opportunity to grow a platform that is kind of rooted in my music too. And so I'm shout out to that too. So Dirty 30 radio. And shout out to Kid Playing and DJ Gregory Grams. Appreciate y'all. Follow me.
Yeah. Hey, he's the number 1 show right now on JQLM.
Let's go!
Fridays, 4 p.m. It's always lit.
It's gonna be 1,000 times better. Also, I also want to get have a conversation with you, Lady J, because I want to take it to the next level and keep hitting that number 1 spot. But I really got some ideas that's gonna make this thing go up. So.
Awesome.
30 Radio, Jacob Alexander EST, all streaming platforms. Let's get it.
Awesome. Well, listen, y'all know you can follow me on social media as well, all the platforms that you saw at the beginning. Jacob, I want to thank you so much again for gracing JQLM Radio's platform as a guest this time with myself. Listen, just know, I want y'all to know, when I'm one of them people that say I knew Jacob when he hit the millions, please understand and believe you me, I knew him before that. Okay, so don't forget the little people. Okay,
keep this in the archives, because we're gonna come and talk to you on the biography. You hear me? You can put your 2 cents in there. You help me get. You've really helped me along my way, and you've been a great example for me too. So I'm proud of you, and you keep on doing your thing for sure, Lady J.
Thank you. I do appreciate it. Listen, I'm getting all teary-eyed. We suck it in. Thank y'all so much for tuning in with your girl, Lady J, right here on JQLM Radio, a division of Ego Entertainment, for another special edition with Jacob Alexander. Go get the music.
Go get it.
So we have come down to the end of this show. But before we get out of here, I have some things I'd like to share with you. So please don't go anywhere. Listen, stick and stay. And once this is over, Lady J out. In the city of Philadelphia, Huntington Bay Correctional Facility takes you on a journey of more than 20 inmates that are dealing and coping with their own personal battles. Indianapolis, it is now time for the moment you've all been waiting for. DP DeMarco Plays and Films presents Department of Corrections Women's Division, the movie. The movie premiere will take place at the Indiana War Memorial on Sunday, December 19th, 2021. Red carpet begins at 3 p.m. Show starts at 5:30 p.m. Get your tickets now at DeMarcoPlays.com.
Hey there. If you can hear my voice, this is Pamela, host of Hospital the Tea, here to remind you that Ego Entertainment Network has a lot for your business. Listen, honey, you need to get with it. Ego Entertainment offers various services, media coverage, red carpet services, promo interviews on air. They offer meet and greet services, honey, not to mention other event services. You want to get in gear. Ego Entertainment is empowered greatness optimized. We're now booking and spots are going fast. Ego serves the United States and all event types, honey. So if you are opening a business, having a store opening, a restaurant opening, and you want some coverage, Ego Entertainment is the way to go. Call or text 317-886-0296 or go to egoentertainmentnet.com.
So everybody wants to be famous. There's so much more to a celebrity. Pain and adversity are a part of their stories too. Let's take a peek behind the fame and see how they relate to you.